Hello, hang on, this is too weird. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends getting better, and podcasting from hotel rooms during GDC 2023. My name is Ben Hanson, and I'm joined by Imran Khan, who has not blinked yet.
Oh.
Welcome,
making up for lost time.
Yeah. Better tech setup than last time?
This is better, yeah. We're not passing around the phone. We're not just like the one thing we are missing in a hotel room is that we're not getting people who are like just walking by and pretending not to look at us.
No. Randy Pitchford is at the door.
He actually might be. Who knows?
We might have a special guest coming later. Is it Randy Pitchford? You tell me, world. We're also joined by Kelsey Lewin.
Hi, I've never done this in person.
Is that right?
Yeah. Why would I have ever done it in person?
Podcast? I guess that's
well,
true.
okay, a very long time ago I did my own podcast in person, but like I've not, I mean, this is a professional one? Like a real one?
Are you seeing this
so
setup?
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for being here. It's nice to see you. The Indian former, Jill Grodt.
That's me.
Welcome.
Thank you. I am glad to be in this hotel room with all of you.
Honestly, I don't want to get sappy out of the gate.
Oh.
I was thinking about it as I was like harassing all of you, like, hey, come to the hotel, and then you got to walk 20 minutes, and then come up here. And I was like, I'm so thankful that three smart people are willing to come do this. Like, because if I'm just sitting here by myself, it's bad content, man. Imran, I want to focus on you.
Okay.
Because maybe I missed this, because I haven't really been on Twitter lately, because I'm smart and I read books. But I missed, like, your whole title change and what you're doing now with your life. So you still have the Patreon.
Yes, I still have the Patreon, proscons.com, which is PROSEKHANS.
Yeah.
A thing that, like, when I decide... The thing about wordplay is, you never think about you have to say it out loud, and then nobody knows what it means when you say it out loud.
You have to have a catchy thing like MinnMax with two N's.
Yes.
Like you have to be able to shorten it that much.
So pros and cons, but con like...
It's PROSE, pros, as in like writing.
Oh, that's tough, yeah.
And cons, KHANS, which is my last name,
right.
Plural, for some reason.
Okay.
But yeah, it is... Someone searches on Twitter, I'm like, oh, that's smart and clever, and I just used it.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
But, so, I have that Patreon. As you remember, I got laid off roughly 6 months ago to the day.
Oh, wow.
I was in Tokyo, and I woke up, tweeted about it took a bath, and I was like, all right, whatever, I'll figure something out. And somebody DM'd me, someone who like followed me on Twitter, was like, hey, do you want to come to TGS and talk? It's like, sure. I don't know what this is about, but all right, I'll talk to anyone at this point.
Yeah.
So I took the train an hour up to Chiba and met this person, and we talked a little bit. I did not realize at the time that was the job interview, but like,
ooh, that's
good. That's fantastic.
So we were just talking, and then like, if I have some time, maybe I'll come to your party later or whatever. And then I talked to the CEO on Zoom a couple of days later when I got home. They offered me the job, that interview, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna propose to my girlfriend, like, in 2 days. Can I just leave this thought for a little bit? Like, I just think about it for a while?
Yeah.
They're like, fine, sure, don't worry about it. So, yeah, basically, within a day of getting laid off, I got a new job. And I still got my old severance, so essentially they just paid me a bunch of money to leave and then get more paid somewhere else.
And so what are you doing?
I am the head of U.S. public relations for a Japanese VR company called My Dearest. We have a it is a PSVR 2 launch game, so it's called Dyschronia, Chronos Alternate, which is they want me to sell it on it's a very long game, and I keep saying no, that's not a selling game. It is a detective noir sci-fi like anime VR game.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so
hey,
like
congrats.
Thank you.
Doing it, man.
Yeah.
Congrats. We should probably explain like where we are and what's going on and all this stuff. If you're not familiar with GDC, which it's easy to be in a little game industry bubble and be like, well, GDC, blah 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 blah. I would guess. What do you think? 60% of people don't know what GDC is that are listening to this?
I think all the trade stuff is, it's obscure. And even less than that know about, like, DICE. And, it starts getting, like, once you start getting into the trade shows as opposed to the E3s and the PAX
right,
and stuff.
Right. So it's the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. And game developers come from all over the world to walk around Moscone Center and go to a bunch of panels. But it turns out also just it's a time for meetings. And it's kind of feels like another opportunity, like with E3, especially dwindling a little bit. It's like, hey, if you want to find a publisher for your game, you want to find a new tool base, yada, yada, yada. You want to hire, it seems like GDC is a place just to wander around. And then people from the press sneak in and act confused about what to do.
I always felt bad as press being here.
Yeah.
Because I felt like you're here to learn, and yet because of me, you were stuck in a hotel room, like talking or showing me your demo or whatever. It's like, you should go to a panel. What? Like, don't show me this game. Like, go do something. And now that I'm industry, I'm here, I'm like, it was pretty nice to be in as press. I can just do whatever I wanted.
Right. It is a weird feeling, especially like, independent press, because like I talk to other people in press all the time, and everyone's like scrambling around for headlines, like, okay, I got too many interviews, got to get this up, blah, 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 blah. And then like, what are you doing? What's your GDC like? And it's like, I'm just going to a bunch of panels and taking a bunch of dorky notes, and I'll podcast about it for Patreon supporters later and kind of unpack everything we learned.
And we all look at you and just hate you.
Yeah, well, the Indian format, you just have 1,000 appointments, right?
I have 1,000 appointments, yeah. I had one canceled this afternoon, and I was like,
right. Do you think you overbooked yourself?
oh, 100%. And I always do, and that's always what happens. And I try really hard to put in time for eating, but that's not always possible.
Yeah.
So I had a really fun Twitter exchange a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, where one of the PR companies that I was seeing this week saw my tweet saying, like, I hope I get to eat. And they're like, what sandwich do you want?
Wow.
And I was like,
That's
oh,
nice.
okay.
That's nice.
What sandwich did you get? No, I'm curious.
The Golden Gate.
Okay. I don't know. That's a sandwich everywhere, and it means something different every place.
It means something different everywhere, yeah.
It has been humbling being at GDC. Like, even before going this year, it's like, what am I really going for? Is it worth it? And then I realized, like, oh, it's a little bit of just like an ego boost. Like, everyone is so nice, and it feels like, okay, this is my place. Like, I've had so many people come up to me and just be like, MinnMax, your interviews, I really like your interviews. Like, oh my god.
Or we lied today, like somebody came up to you, it's like, MinnMax, right? Like, they talked to you for a couple of minutes about it.
Several people, and God bless their hearts, but several people come up to me like, MinnMax, Double Fine Psych Odyssey. Yeah. So like, I get to like post on the success of Double Fine Psych Odyssey. I'm the guy who talked about that documentary that was good. And like, people like recognize that, which is very surreal. So I've just been humbled, and it's so sweet, and everyone's so nice. So thanks everybody for saying hi. And then I made the mistake of, I was sitting at a panel, and like, this is my secret thrill, is I sit down at every panel, and no matter what, I just talk to the person next to me, just like, where are you from? What are you doing? What are you hoping to get out of this? And it's always fascinating, and it just, there are so many more people in the game industry than you would ever think of. Like, I was talking to somebody today, and I was like, oh, where are you from? And he's like, Lockheed Martin. I'm just here to learn how to use Unity better. It's like, who would have thought that Lockheed Martin's here?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But so I was sitting in a panel, and this guy sat down next to me, and I was talking to some other guy, and I was like, hey, welcome, who are you here with? And he's like, I'm a YouTuber. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then just noticed immediately people were like hearing his voice and turning around and like start shaking his hand, and have to like squint and look at this guy's name tag, and it was Mark Brown from Game Maker's Toolkit. And he was a rock star in a way I've never seen. Like, before and after the panel, multiple people came up to him, like, I think he was the director of Stray. I was like looking at his name tag trying to see it. He's like, I just want to thank you for Game Maker's Toolkit. Like, I got in the industry because of you. And like, Mark was very sweet about it, but it's just a reminder of like, okay, MinnMax is so small. Like, this guy is basically being lifted around and carried on a pedestal across the entire conference floor.
GDC is very good for the idea of like, games don't come from some weird magical place.
Right.
They come from a bunch of people who know a bunch of like interesting technologies and want to try different things to make those things like work. And like, I went to just an animation. I have nothing to do with animation, so but I went to an animation panel because like I'm just curious. It's like, this goes so far over my head, but it's cool to know that like there are these people who are trading in this knowledge or these knowledgeable facts about what they're doing, and like, hey, what if you tried it this way? What if we like made the cat from Stray walk a little bit different? Like, that's the kind of stuff that it makes you realize, oh, I don't know anything about this, but I know this other small part of making video games, and all of us just kind of put our pieces together, and like a game comes out of it.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet too. Like, it melts my heart seeing, God of War Ragnarok, probably the game of the show, as confusing as it is. Like, they have, I think it was like 18 panels.
They have a lot of panels.
Yeah, it's amazing. So like, especially when they're uploaded and hopefully shared online publicly, this is going to be like the greatest way to learn about the making of God of War Ragnarok, especially since, they didn't make a documentary this time and stuff. But it's amazing. It's so sweet that like, the first panel I went to was all about the animation of God of War Ragnarok. And then, a ton of fascinating things were shared. And then at the end, it was like, oh, does anybody have any questions? And just like opening the floor to like, here's one of the most like accomplished games of all time, and like any game developer, just come up to the mic, ask any question you want, and these folks will answer and share knowledge. Like, again, it's not our place, not being, well, I guess you're in the game developer side of things at this point, you know, but it's so sweet to see, and it feels like a very positive college vibe, which turns out we're all clawing for, I feel like, in a weird way.
Well, especially since the industry is so, under other circumstances, secretive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what the games industry is. It's just everything under wraps, no one can say anything. And then there's this one event for, like, the entire, like, you can go to a PAX, you can go to an E3, whatever, you see games, but, like, I feel like GDC is the only place where you feel that sort of camaraderie.
Yeah.
Right.
It almost feels like it shouldn't exist sometimes. Because,
Right.
I mean, the industry is so, like, you know, everything's a trade secret, and, like, we don't want to reveal how we make things, and there are some companies that do, you know, a little more, a little less of sharing that stuff, but I don't know, it's weird. Cause it just feels like everyone collectively forgets for a week that, like, they're not supposed to share things, and then they go back to...
And they'll show, like, really jank, you know, in development shots of the game or animations and stuff, like, on the projector screen. And I've certainly got to the point of, like, I don't even think I really want to take pictures of that and share it, because it just feels like, I don't know if that's the press's place. Like, let me tweet out this jank-looking Kirby animation. It's like, this is their time. I don't want to shame anybody. Like, it's so cool that they're so transparent, but...
It's a safe space for a lot of developers, because, like, I was eating lunch. I went upstairs to where the Kirby panel was, because there were tables there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat curry on the floor. That's terrible. But, like, a guy sat next to me, and we were, like, just talking about it. He's like, oh, that looks really good curry. And I was telling him where to get it and all that stuff. I was like, hey, what do you do? And he's like, he looked at my media badge. And I was like, yeah, I had to choose between two badges, industry or media, whatever. My media lets me in more places. He's like, oh, okay. I work on this game that has not been announced. There's like a major sequel to a game. I'm like, whoa, okay, sure.
All you have to do is tell them that you are also not media?
Yes.
That's interesting.
The fun thing about E3 for media is, like, you don't, or GDC for media, is you don't spend a lot of time at GDC. You're, like, out places. So it's a weird mix between, I get a lot of meetings that are like, we want to meet with you about a game you will like, but we can't tell you anything about it.
Right.
And so
that's a very good way to lure everybody in. Like, you especially, Jill, you have to see this thing. It's right up your alley.
They do know what my alley is. I have a brand.
Yeah.
And then there's that, and then there's another thing where you just, like, go to a public place, like some of those tables I've had a meeting at, or, like, in a lobby, and they just start telling you about a game that is not announced, and details you're not allowed to say, and you have to keep it under wraps. But then there's just, like, a family having a picnic next to you or something. And it's
right.
Oh, the restaurants around here, like, if you don't get a GDC badge, just, like, go hang out in the restaurants and hotel bars around here. You will hear so much stuff. Yeah.
And I'm in the camp, and maybe this is bizarre, and I apologize to all MinnMax listeners, but, like, I don't want to know secrets. Like, I've had multiple developers be like, well, let me just tell you what I'm working on. I'm like, I want to peer brain so I know what I can talk about and what I can't. I hate doing that idea of, like, do I know about this game because somebody told me behind the scenes? Like, I don't want to know any of that stuff.
No, I had that in a meeting today where they're like, can I just spoil it for you? I'm like, if that's okay for me to write. And they're like, oh, but we don't want to get it out. I'm like, don't tell me that. It's going to be in my brain. Do you know how many meetings I've had this GDC?
Okay, big themes this GDC. Last year, it was definitely
It was all
crypto.
NFT.
Yeah,
right.
blockchain.
It's still there.
It's still here, but now it feels a bit more like a punchline. And it's like a sweet justice of, like, all right, they built it up for, like, another big Web3 GDC, and then, everyone's moved on to AI at this point, and ChatGPT, and that's all anybody cares about.
Metaverse. Just, like, signs that just say metaverse. Like, they don't actually explain what they are. They just say...
Well, that's the perfect metaphor for all... I guess that's not even a metaphor. That's just literally all of metaverse discussion.
Yeah.
But it was... I mean, I guess in the big keynote, which was this morning as of the time of this recording with Tim Sweeney at Epic, still, like, the conclusion there was just, boy, metaverse.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I could see, it was like, Epic's leaning in the metaverse, and it should be a cross-company thing. We believe in it. Thumbs up, the end. Like, it's still... Like, to have somebody as big as Epic talk about metaverse like it's obviously the future, but then not make any clear steps other than, I guess, is the conclusion just everything that they're doing with Unreal and Fortnite and opening more user creation for Fortnite, that's just all part of the same ecosystem that'll eventually be labeled the metaverse.
The thing is, everyone who talks about metaverse has something, like, a different definition of it. And it's starting to feel like your parents are trying to spell words around you so you don't know what they're talking about, but also they don't know what they're talking about.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're spelling words in a different language. Yeah.
For me, it just feels like they're playing the business game, and they know that the people who don't know anything about gaming or whatever hear the word metaverse, and it's like wallets open and money starts rolling.
Well, I agree, but Tim Sweeney, he is the wallet. Like, why is he going out there and talking about this other than just? I don't know. I still am a little bit confused about it. Like, it was interesting in that keynote because he talked more about just like, we want to unify more of the music stuff with, what did they buy again? Bandcamp? Is that the thing?
They bought Bandcamp.
Yeah.
And Harmonix.
Harmonix. And it's like, he seemed to be hinting more and more towards like, we want more people to have concert opportunities in the Fortnite metaverse, yada, yada, yada. But it's mind-boggling. But, I mean, the first time that I saw a line that was around an entire building, I was like, what is this? It's like an AI panel. And it seems like AI is the big push. And there's always like an AI path. So you could just take like AI panels and that focus at GDC. And that's always been a thing. But I think like over the last couple of months now, everyone's like, AI, that's like the future. That's ChatGPT stuff.
I mean, AI, the concept of AI like predates video games. Like video games are AI experiments turned into games. You know, like this is what people at universities were like studying and like, you know, what is artificial intelligence? And we can make chess, and now there's a chess video game.
Right.
So it's like it's weird to see it become this like new thing when it has literally always existed. Like AI has always been a part of game development, but now there's like different, I don't know, like generating images and generating text and all of that stuff feels like a new evolution of it. And it almost feels like it's just this entirely. It almost needs a different word.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's like old AI of like, you know, how do NPCs like walk in their path, and that's an AI. But then there's like this new, you know,
predictive language.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But there's like nothing cool about me putting like a sandwich into a microwave. But if like a robot took the sandwich from me and it was like, I'll heat this up for you, like exactly the same function, that's cool though. So I think that's how people are thinking of AI. It doesn't really make a functional difference. It's still just like wrapping words around the Google search, but I think people are mesmerized by the spectacle of it.
Yeah. What is your GDC like?
Kelsey? Yeah, so I mean, I'm not media. I'm not cool like all these people here. But,
Thank you for saying it.
Yeah. But I'm here with the Video Game History Foundation, and we're most of what we do here is like try to run into people and explain what we are and what we do, and you know, if they. You know, ask them about if they have any of their old development stuff. We kind of target the old people here. Like,
so what is? I mean, are you walking the show floor saying, "Hey, old guy"?
I mean, we did that last year a little bit. Like, if you were standing at a booth and you looked like you'd been in the industry for a while, and we got a couple of connections out of it and some donations and stuff. I mean, I think people like we're really still just trying to explain to everybody what we are and why we exist, and and we get a lot of incredibly like. Very good and very well-meaning people who are like, I'm at Sony, I can steal a hard drive from work and hand it to you, and it's like, I can't do anything with that.
That's a crime.
I can't do it. I mean, it's like, I can't tell you to do that, but please do, but I can't do anything with it right now.
But if your studio's going down, please just try and get something.
It's like if it's very modern stuff, we have a lot less legal protections that archives and libraries enjoy. If it's like, you know, being a currently being sold product, we don't have a whole lot of protections around that. But
speaking of old timers, I was delighted like walking to meet y'all for lunch today. I was maybe a little bit late because I walked by Dave Grossman from LucasArts.
Yes, I saw him walk by too.
Did you? Oh, God. I was like, oh, man, I got to say hi to Dave Grossman. Like, I've never heard him before, but, like, you know, co-lead on Day of the Tentacles, a game I love and stuff, and then Monkey Island and Return to Monkey Island. Although it's like, this is like the beauty of GC is it's just like rapid fire pop quiz. How much do you really know these developers?
Yeah.
It's like, as I was talking to him, I was in my mind like, he worked on Return to Monkey Island, right? Yeah, he absolutely. Wait, did he not? It's like, I'm still going to go on the way to kiss his ass for Return to Monkey Island, but I'm still not exactly sure.
Yeah, and it's tough because I don't have super great, like, face recognition. So I definitely do the whole, like, kind of...
glance at the badge real quick.
Thing. I think everyone should wear their logos higher up, you know?
Right. When it's, like, twisted around and, like, they're only facing the back, I'm like, I think I know who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's some, I mean... look, there's a lot of people in the game industry that look alike. There's a lot of, everyone's got a beard and maybe glasses and
Yeah, absolutely.
So I ran into Dylan Cuthbert, which was fun. He's one of the developers on Star Fox.
Right.
One of the two. There's two British studios founded by people, or studios in Japan founded by British people who worked at Nintendo.
Right.
And they're right next door to each other.
Giles Goddard.
Exactly. Yep. Dylan Cuthbert's Q Games and Giles is Chuhai. So
You're really lucky though, because you have like the cool historical aspect to every pitch you have for developers. So you get to walk up to someone and be like, I'm the co-director of the Video Game History Foundation, and they can't be like, okay, that's cute. What do you want? I mean, that's like immediately, well, you have my respect now. Even somebody like Dylan Cuthbert, like he has to respect you, Kelsey.
Yeah. Well, we found one of his old demos and like returned it to him. You know, basically. So he this is a really cool story actually. So in I don't know exactly what year, but it was before X for the Game Boy came out. He programmed essentially like a little portfolio on a Game Boy cartridge for Argonaut to hand out at CES. So it's got, just like here's some 3D wireframe models on the game running on the Game Boy. Look what we can do. Here's a little like tank game in 3D on the Game Boy. And they just handed it out at CES, and they, we're kind of pitching it to producers and stuff, and like, work with us. We know how to do cool stuff. And obviously Nintendo eventually picked it up and was like, yeah, you should do this for us. And that became X, and that became Star Fox. But he hadn't seen that demo in forever because he didn't keep a copy of that.
How do you all have it?
A donor, a producer who was used to be at Mindscape, got one of those at CES. So
wow,
yeah, we digitized it and sent him the ROM, and we have a thing. This is a preview, I guess, but we're working on like a video. We're interviewing him about, like, okay, why did you make this? Explain what this is. Like, what was this for? And
he has to be so thankful. Like, you mean I don't have to talk about Miyamoto and Star Fox for once in an interview? Like, oh, thank God.
I was gonna say, it's been a big 5 years for people finding old Dylan Cuthbert work and like releasing it.
Oh, they're gonna make stuff.
Which only like two things really, Star Fox and this, but still twice in 5 years. That's a lot.
If I had a nickel for every time.
We've played some games too. Probably, I mean, Jill in particular probably played way more than anybody else.
Here's my list. It starts there and goes there.
This is infinite.
And it's Wednesday.
Okay. It is Wednesday as of the time. What do you think is number one most favorite thing you've played so far?
There are a lot of things that are so high up on my list. I have like things written down. I think of the things I can talk about, I do want to say like I have things I can't talk about, but
we all want to say that. But we're not going to.
I played at the Mix. The first time that I think anyone has really been able to go hands on with it was Dordogne, which is
Dordogne,
and it's, I'm not saying it correctly because it's a region in France, and there's a G at the end.
Okay.
In there. But it's something like that. And
how do you spell it?
It's Dordogne. Dordogne.
Okay.
And it's the idea is, first of all, it's this absolutely beautiful watercolor art style. Like, it's all watercolor and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you are playing this character, Mimi, whose grandmother has passed away, and you spent a summer with her, and you're going back to her place to pick up a box of memories. But there's something kind of weird and mysterious going on because you don't remember anything. Like past, like 15 and beyond, your whole memory is gone, and you don't know why. So you step into this house, and the memories start flooding back. And as soon as you touch something that has like a memory, you like go through this time warp, really cool, like again, watercolor thing. And then you're back to being like a child in the summer doing things and interacting with, and it's this beautiful adventure game with like heart and feeling. And I cannot describe how beautiful it is.
Okay.
It's so fantastic. And you need to have it on your radar.
Okay. Okay. Even if it's tough to pronounce, that's the one to go to.
Yes, it is.
But hey, can I ask you?
Yeah.
That my favorite game that I've played so far, and I feel like a hack because it's not like a beautiful artsy game or anything, but it was also at the Mix, but it was just like immediate fun. It's like, yeah, this is what I like from games. It was called Astro Duel 2. Have you seen this?
I haven't.
It's so all right. Imagine this.
Okay.
Imagine asteroids,
Okay.
4-player,
Yep.
but then also there are pockets where there's a bit of a building, and you can fly your ship in there, get out of it, and then it's samurai gun inside. But the asteroid ships are still fighting outside of it, and they can get power-ups where eventually they can like shoot through into the building as your samurai gun fighting inside of that. But it's just like good arcadey, simple fun. And I had no idea this was the thing. Like Astro Duel 1 came out in 2016 and looks fine, but this was like, I don't know. Like I felt bad because like there's so many great artistic achievements for all these games, you know, that I jumped around and played in GDC. But I was like, this is just the immediate pick up and play fun. I get the idea. It's a blast, and I'm a sucker for any game where I'm in a ship and then I can get out and I'm a little guy running around. That's just like ever since Metal Warriors and Super Nintendo. Like that is my jam. That is just so inherently fun.
But like that's the whole point of like the indie scene, right? Is like you've got that side of like artsy and thoughtful and pensive and whatever, and then you've got the side that's just this is just fun. Pick it up and be silly and run around. Like one of my games that I really like is called, I want to say it's Henry Halfhead.
You want to say that, or
I can't
It is Henry Halfhead. Yes.
Thank you. I can't remember. I couldn't remember.
That's confusing because I'm Henry Hatsworth.
Yeah,
You know, like,
that's what I was thinking
yeah.
too.
And you, for some reason, are just a half ahead, and you're going about your day.
Which half?
The top half.
Okay.
And you can like possess items, and you're given like a list of just normal things to kind of do. So you have to go to work. So you have to bathe. So you have to like possess a chair to possess the sink to possess a towel so you can get to the bath.
It's like Ghost Trick.
I love Geist.
Okay, that's the genre, apparently.
Yeah. And then throw yourself into the bath water because you've turned on the sink because you were the sink and you could turn it on. But there's no soap, so now you have to like possess the soap and get it in there. And
Perfect.
And it's just the silliest little thing, and it's like this is so satisfying, like physically. Like
What you're describing is like those mobile phone game ads, but not the game is nothing like it. It's just like, can you protect the king from the bathwater? I was like, maybe. We'll see.
Out the faucet.
So that there's just such a mixture of things to play, especially at like a big event like that for indies.
Yeah. What are you looking for? This is probably helpful for developers too, but if you're wandering a show for like the Mix, which by the way is like an indie event, they have a bunch going on there, showing off a bunch of different games. Like when you're wandering the floor, are you checking out every single thing for the Indie Informer? Or...
I mean, I try to. Like the Indie Informer, I have the benefit of it just being me, and therefore the Indie Informer is whatever I find fun. So a lot of times I do have things in mind, like, you know, there are popularity levels of indies, I guess is a way to say it. So I'm like, okay, I know the big ones are here. I need to hit the big ones. But like wandering around and seeing like, I've never heard of this. This looks interesting. Maybe something will hit. And trying it out.
And the developers are so eager to like, please play it, please.
So genuinely, like, Henry Halfhead, the developer, I was like, we traded cards. I was like, I want to do a preview. Like, please, let's get in touch. Let's do something. And he was like, me? I was like, oh, that is so sweet. Yes. Right. And I love working with people like that because it's so...
Because they're desperate.
No. That's why I'm here.
That's right. No, that's sweet. That's sweet. Have you played anything, Imran?
Let's see. So at first, I played this demo at Day of the Devs, which is Double Fine's like curated indie thing,
right?
Called Another Crab's Treasure, which has been announced. It's like it's a Souls-like cross with SpongeBob kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That is so fantastic.
Good pitch.
So the first time I played it, I did not like it at all, and I think the reason was someone was playing the demo, they lost to the boss like 15 times, and then like the message was, do you want to respawn at the checkpoint or at the beginning? I chose the beginning because I want to replay this demo. What I forgot about is that when demos do that, they don't give you tutorials again. So I went through most of that level, like dying a lot, not really knowing what I was doing. I figured I was playing it like Dark Souls, which is somewhat correct, but not entirely correct, because it's a very parry-heavy game, and parrying has a fairly wide window. So I was just trying to dodge things and, just stay out of arm's reach. It made it difficult and annoying to actually keep going forward. So I left that first demo going like, I don't like this game. Then I saw George, who, he reps the game. He's the PR rep for the game. He says, this game is actually really good. One of my best things, I get to keep playing this thing. So I was like, I'll just go back tomorrow. I'll try it again. Trying it on a new demo, actually, I kind of understand what they're going for.
Yeah.
It is a Souls-like. It is easier than most Souls-likes. I was playing it in the most frustrating way possible. The idea is you grab shells from, just general trash you find around. Thus, another crab's treasure.
Yes.
And, you have a bar for your shield, but the way to... if you get hit, your shield deteriorates, a la Breath of the Wild kind of thing. But if you do parry the attack perfectly, it just bounces off and you get a full parry combo on the enemy. So ideally what you're trying to do is just watch them enough to know when their attacks are coming, and then parry it, and then move on.
Right.
And I didn't get that, and that made it so much easier because I didn't die the entire time of the demo until I got to the boss, and I died 5 times. But it's a much better game than I gave it credit for originally, which I think probably does teach me some strong lessons about judging books the first time.
That's right. That's right.
But I really enjoyed what I played that second time,
Nice.
and I'm looking forward to... The game seemed very, very early in this demo still.
Yeah.
There was not a developer around for me to ask when that game's planned.
Mhm.
Jill, I don't know if you know, but...
I probably do off the top of my head, because I did see it at Day of the Devs in November of last, and I talked to the devs. But off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Okay, but
Yeah.
so it seems to still have a while left to go, but from what I've played so far, it's a game I now keep my eye on.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I played Lies of P, speaking of Souls-likes, a little bit. Did you play Lies of P at the...
I stole it from you for a second.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I'm not... If I've played 300 hours of Bloodborne, maybe able to tell you, this feels great, but, I played it, I was like, it feels like a B-tier Souls-like game, but still impressive. I'm curious to see if they can stick the landing. I was... Timur was there from GameSpot and Giant Bomb and everything, and so for the travelogue, which, by the way, if you want to know what it's like at GDC, you all sent us, so I've been filming a travelogue and shoving my camera in too many people's faces, as everyone here can attest, and so that'll be up on our YouTube channel soon. Anyway, so, but when Timur was playing it, I was, zoomed in on his hands, zoomed in on his face, all right, From Software expert, do you like this? Can you tell me if this is good? And he seemed to like it, so that's Lies of P.
If you want to see a Bloodborne, ripoff might be a strong word. But certainly a homework copied.
Yeah.
Look at the new Lords of Fallen demo.
Yeah, okay.
So, that game used to be called Lords of Fallen 2.
Right.
Then they changed the name to The Lords of Fallen.
Sure.
Now they've changed it to Lords of Fallen, just straight, and they've renamed the old game to Lords of Fallen 2014.
Oh.
I
Wow.
hate this. Oh my god.
But if you look at the video, it is straight up the hunter's garb, all that stuff. It looks
I remember it looked good in the trailer.
Yeah,
It was
they were showing off just ray tracing and stuff like new tech stuff.
yeah.
It looks very nice, but it is straight up. That's just the Bloodborne hunter.
Okay, all right, that's an angle. Yeah. Let's see. Other big hits for you that you played? This is Thursday.
Okay. I played Gunbrella, which
Ooh,
was
yeah.
fantastic. The demo wasn't much different from the demo that they had out a couple months ago.
I think it's still available on Steam and stuff too. Yeah.
But I did get to talk with the demos and became best friends.
Oh, with the developers? That's nice.
With the developers. And I learned some secrets about some of their favorite little characters in the game. I'm really excited to kind of write that out.
Yeah, I talked to those folks too at the Nintendo
Yeah.
indie thing. And they worked on God of Roboto before this, if you remember. And then I forget the name, but they're also developers that made that physical only game.
Oh,
It's
the one.
Demon something.
Yeah, the one that Devolver put out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that called? It was a very generic name.
Right. But it was a cool idea, at least. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for Gunbrella. I just wanted to, it looks like it controls so well. So yeah, I need that.
It's smooth. It's so good.
That's
I
sweet.
love it.
Did you play the Lamplighters League?
I did not.
Okay, Harebrained Schemes, they're making it, and it's early 1900s turn-based tactics. But kind of the cool thing is between the kind of XCOM setup, it's real time and you're running location to location, and then it's kind of like a stealth game in between. So it's weird to have the XCOM style combat, but then but then in between you're kind of sneaking around and distracting guards with like multiple characters and stuff. So it's Leo Vader bait. So if you're hearing this, Leo, get ready for the Lamplighters League.
So like a Spies Inc. kind of thing?
I didn't play that one, but I'll say yes.
Is that? I'm not sure if that's the right title I'm thinking of, but it's something like that.
Okay, or yeah,
Invisible Link.
Yes, that might be it. Yeah, I didn't play that one, but I remember Oscar Walker fighting for it hard on Giant Bomb. So I'll say yes. It's exactly like that. Should we talk about another indie game that we've been playing a bit?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah! Came out this week. Tchia.
Woohoo!
Tchia, just to continue the theme of indie games being hard to spell. I
was going to make that joke.
I thought we were going to be the one podcast not to do it. I thought we could do it.
We'll just cross that out.
Yep, it didn't
That didn't happen.
It's isolated. We can just remove it.
That's right. This is the game. You might remember it in every trailer they've ever shown it. They're like, this is from New Caledonia. Mm-hmm. It's inspired by an island called New Caledonia, which is a real place. Go visit it, please. They need your support. It's a cool place. We had an interview with Phil Frifo, the creative director on MinnMax's channel, if you checked it out a while ago. Open world game, very Breath of the Wild inspired. Yes. A lot of sailing, so it's easy to say it's Wind Waker inspired. But then during our interview, he's like, I didn't really play Wind Waker. I don't know. I just like Breath of the Wild and sailing and GTA, strangely enough. But I'm only like 4 hours into the game or so. Like, how much have you played?
I just played the demo that was at Day of the Devs.
Okay, and then
I finished it.
You finished it?
Yeah, I have a review.
Good Lord on the Indian Informer. That's sweet.
When do you sleep?
Never.
Okay.
I've been so tired.
It's irrelevant. Okay, well, you're the expert. What do you think of Tchia? Ooh.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm so mixed on this game because the thing that makes this game brilliant is just exploring and being in the world. The world is beautiful. They you kind of joke about the New Caledonia stuff, but like it's so obvious that they really had that passion for showing off the culture. Yeah. Like every time you meet a new person or you go to a new village, like there's some sort of musical festival or culturally rich experience that you are having.
Even like the beginning of the game, it's like within like 5-10 minutes, you're like sitting down with your dad and he's like playing songs and you're clapping along. This game is one of the sweetest games I've ever seen in my life. It's just bleeding heart and sincerity.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Those things are great. Going around and just like. One of the big things you can do is soul jump. That's your big power. So like just going around and finding new animals. Each animal you have like a different sort of mode of locomotion. So if you're a crab, you just kind of crab. If you're a bird, you fly. If you're a shark, you swim. Blah blah blah. But each animal also.
Well, you're saying blah blah blah, but it's like that's the coolest thing in the world. I mean, it's amazing to be able to like see animal. It's not like it's an ability that you unlock later in your game. It's like super early on. There's like you can just. Slow-mo, look around, take control of anything. And run around and cause havoc. It's amazing.
And every animal also has like a special ability. So like if you're a cat, you have night vision. If you are a boar, you can dig into the ground and find stuff. If you're a shark, you can bite people.
I think I'd enjoy this just as like a sandbox.
Yes.
That is
100%. The problem is there's a story. And I love sort of the idea and shape of it, and they get some like mythological things going on in there.
Yeah.
But then they kind of shoehorn in a section that just so frustrated me. That is like combat heavy, and this is not a combat-made game.
No, it seems like early on it's just like you're kind of taking out bandit camps if you want by like lighting things on fire and becoming like a gas lamp and like throwing yourself at people.
So imagine that, like the little bandit camp, but like 5 times the size and 20 enemies to take out, 5 piles of things to throw, and then sentries that are shooting at you. And that's all you do is pick up lamps and throw, and pick up lamps and throw.
Oh no!
And you have to do this several times for different places that all connect to one big place where you have to do it again. And I was so frustrated that the sandbox game that I was having so much fun with and enjoying and like just appreciating being animals, like suddenly I can't do anything with my powers.
That's rough.
That sounds like someone played Breath of the Wild and did not understand why Eventide Island was optional.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. Or maybe it's just thought like, well, it's a game. We got to have some combat in there to appease some people.
Right.
But it's like I hope takeaway in the lesson is just like No, the sandbox
It would have
is enough.
It would
Like,
have been really cool if the
exploring
whole
that world
game
is
had
so
just been
great.
like learn the culture of New Caledonia, and like that's the thing. Maybe there's some mythological stuff going on back
Yeah.
there.
But I mean, you talk about like transforming into animals, but it's so fun because you can go beyond that even. So it's like getting into gameplay where like you're climbing a tree, rocking it back and forth, and like launching yourself off it, then using the little Wind Waker hang glider going down, and then transforming into a giant boulder on the side of the hill and like rolling down the giant hill as a boulder before you launch off into the sea and control anything else. Like, it's one of the greatest sandboxes I've
That
played in a
sounds
long
awesome.
time.
So
It's so good. That's why it's frustrating to hear that
Yeah.
beyond the opening hours, it can kind of get derailed if you're mean pathing.
When I was done with that section, I just went off and sailed and did things until I was like, oh, I have to finish this for a review. But the later sections get more interesting. There's combat, but like they change things up in different ways. So like it gets better, but that section weighed everything down for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up giving it 7.5.
7.5. Okay, but it feels like one. Like, I know Leo Vader's red hot on it. I don't know where anybody else is at MinnMax. We'll talk about it next week, I'm sure. But it feels like one that some people are probably really going to be championing. Like, if it clicks for you, I can see it being a lot of people's like, oh, this is game of the year.
On March 20th, which is this past Monday,
Yeah.
at 11 a.m. after playing the demo, I texted my partner, Rebecca Valentine, who was on the Chrono Cross Deepest Dive.
Quit bragging.
I texted her the sentence, Tchia is a Reb game. 2 hours later, she responded, yes, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
Yep.
So
exactly
what I expected to happen with most people. It's either like, this is their game or they're not. It's not.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, oh, the music is so good. Like the first time you get in the boat and the music swells and you put the sail up and like, it does a really cool thing. At least I think it's cool. Maybe people are frustrated about it. But like the sailing, sailboat, raft, whatever the hell you want to call it, that you're on, like you can control the speed or you can steer it.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like running back and forth just on your little raft. Like, okay, steer it. Now I gotta run back to that. And maybe that's annoying for folks, but I just feel like it makes you care about navigating so much more.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's silly for me too, but like the game has like cosmetics that you can get by picking up trinkets and like collectibles throughout the world. And I am just so satisfied by being able to like, I'm putting a crab on my sail because now my boat's the crab, SSR crab.
So we'll talk about it more in the future, but that's
it demos extremely well, and it's also like incredibly pretty.
Yes.
Like one of the
so
nicest look, like not technologically blows anyone away. I mean, the lighting is actually amazing, but like just pleasant looking video game. Like I could just sit there and look at it for a long time.
Right.
Also, and it's the classic thing of like, well, not our problem. We're just playing the game, but the game was made by 10 people. It's an open world game made by 10 people. It is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and the fact that for most sandboxes you have like land, and then if there's ocean, you don't get to like explore it. The whole ocean is a sandbox too.
You swim underneath,
yeah. Oh, and there's a whole world of things to do under there, and you can get into fish and sea turtles and
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
How
so
long
cool.
did this take to develop? Do we know?
Oh God, they probably said in that interview. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Wasn't it? Like
I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it's Breath of the Wild inspired, you know,
Yeah,
like
right.
that dates it to a certain point.
I'm trying to remember when the last one. I want to say the last game came out in 2016, and so maybe since then. But it's a super impressive thing. Let's see. There's a game that, as of the time of this recording, hasn't been unveiled too much. Although I'm not looking at anybody in particular. But like I've seen like whispers of this on the internet for so long, but Lego 2K Drive. Like, was there an IGN leak or something? Is that what happened?
IGN broke embargo.
Okay.
And put the story out too early.
But to be fair, VGC, they also revealed that this game existed a while ago.
Yeah.
And said, like, hey, by the way, 2K is working with Lego for making some games. So they also reported back then that Sumo Digital is making, like, a Lego soccer game. Yeah. Which is confusing. But then this is the different game. This is the driving game.
Also, probably why we haven't gotten the Lego Forza DLC this time.
Because they have the Hot Wheels again, but for Forza Horizon 4, they have the Lego DLC, which was really sweet. I really like that. Yeah. But this is a new open world Lego game, unfortunately called Lego 2K Drive, which is it's a rough name, but the game itself is cool. Like, I got to play the first, 3 to 4 hours of it. Full disclosure, 2K flew me out to their studio, Visual Concepts, to play this thing at 2K headquarters, I guess, in Novato. But I really enjoyed what I played because the secret is it's open world Mario Kart. And you play, it's like, this should exist. This is like such a slam dunk if they were making the case of like, okay, it's open world Mario Kart probably, even though we didn't see them, probably with some microtransactions, like just absolutely all in. But like,
Is it like battle mode? Kind of Mario Kart kind of thing, but enormous, or
I mean, you can. So you can play the whole thing co-op if you want, like up to 6 players, and you do get like rockets and stuff. You can fire at each other, so it can be silly. But then it'll also like load into different races and stuff. And I say open world, but it's more like one of those classic open regions things where there's several different regions that you're jumping through. So it's more segmented than you'd think. But also, it's just wild that this is Visual Concepts making it, who's made the basketball games and they've made the WWE games recently, and so like them carving out more of their staff, like, and now make an open world Lego racing game. And I mean, it's coming out soon. It's coming out May 19th, but like what I played so far is like this is delightful. Yeah. Like a little jank here and there, but again, pre-release, we'll see how it actually ends up. But like the hook is like you can build your own car. They have like 1,000 different Lego pieces. You can go brick by brick and build your own car if you want. Otherwise, you're just unlocking amazingly wild cars. And it'll transition, kind of like in Mario Kart, if you go off a jump, you get like the hang glider, you know? Like imagine that for everything, where like if you go in the water, you become a boat. So if you go off-road, you get like the buggy, and you kind of like set which car you want for which. And it's just super wacky, where early on, it's like you start out in your off-road car, it's just like a little four-wheeler. And then the next one you get is just like a moon buggy, and you're like driving that around, and there's just like open world activities. It's a little Forza in that way, but it's super arcadey and silly.
Is the brick by brick thing, like, can you get real weird with it?
Yeah.
Or, okay, cool. I'm excited to see what people do, because I'm not patient enough. But.
Right. Yeah, I tried just making like several pillars on my car to see how tall it could go, and then I was like driving that around the world and like knocking down the gateways that I was racing through, because it was just like blasting through it and stuff. So I really enjoyed it. We have a whole preview that's up on MinnMax's YouTube channel and the bonus podcast feed, where I sat down with Easy Allies' Daniel Bloodworth, and the two of us cross-pollinated the MinnMax and Easy Allies streams just to unpack all of our thoughts on that if you want to learn more about it. But it's like, yeah, if you like Lego Island, Lego Racer, if you're nostalgic for that stuff, it's like, yeah, it's cool that they've made this thing. But the big asterisk, of course, is 2K, they're pretty heavy with the microtransactions, especially for the basketball side of things. And like during this preview event, they're like, yeah, there's a garage that's called Unky's Emporium. There's a bunch of dollar signs on it. Like, don't go in that. So, if you're really worried about that, we'll see how hard they throw it in your face. In the first couple hours, at least, they weren't like getting to that. But imagine if they put like all licensed Lego stuff as microtransactions.
Like that's right for like a Lego Batmobile kind of thing.
Yep. Even though it's weird with a 2K game, like what are they going to have the licenses for compared to Warner Brothers? Because I don't know what it means for the future of like TT games.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers and their connection with Lego, because there were reports, again, from, I think, GDC that some big Lego games were canceled recently, like a Lego Disney crossover thing, and then Lego Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's weird to see Lego branching out. They're making like those games with Apple, like Lego Builder's Journey and whatnot, and now for this open world racing game. But yeah, it's coming out May 19th, and I'm excited to play it. It's just good, easy game, and it'll be a great one just to like listen to podcasts too, and just do a bunch of open world Lego challenges, and like it controls well enough, like I had a good time with it.
I can always trust a game with Lego in the title to be like, I can just turn this on and just not think for a while.
Yep. Oh, you're in luck, baby. This is a game for you. We can talk about Dredge.
Yeah, we could.
I played maybe like 6 hours of Dredge.
I finished it.
Jill! So impressive.
My review's going up. Or it might be up at the time of posting this.
Okay, you should lean in a little more, by the way, just to really hear your hot takes on Dredge.
Okay.
Now I'm worried we gave you like bad work habits at Game Informer or something.
Because she's just annihilating it on her own?
Actually, it was a little less... Game Informer was great.
Dredge, if you don't recall, this is the indie game Sarah Pazorski was really looking forward to as one of her most anticipated games of the year.
Yeah, for good reason.
Yep, it is a fishing game where it's also horror-themed, and you kind of have Resident Evil 4 inventory for your boat as you're navigating this kind of Lovecraftian world.
Yes.
And so, we were playing a bunch of fishing games not too long ago for New Show Plus, and we talked about, God, fishing in video games, it's just perfect. Like, ridiculous fishing, anything that can set up that fishing loop of, go out, catch stuff, upgrade your stuff, get better and better and better. It's effectively that, but it's just a really effective loop for getting you in the zone. And then the horror thing just adds, this whole narrative context.
A whole layer on top of it. Yeah, this might be one of my favorite games of 2023.
Ooh,
I absolutely love this game.
Nice.
It's just what you're saying. Like, it's so incredibly engaging. you just lose time. Time disappears while you're playing this game.
Right.
So you're like, okay, I just need to get this much from this catch so that I can upgrade my whatever,
like my light,
motor.
because I'm going around at night and the fog is just like going through like narrow channels in like a water canyon with just this little light and fog's coming in. You know that there's monsters in the water that might be able to attack you. Like
monsters might not exist. They might all be in your head, because what happens is when it turns dark, your panic starts to rise. So you start to see things that may or may not be there. So like as you start to panic more and more, things like in the beginning, you just sort of see rocks that appear out of literally nowhere, and you're like, you the player are sort of like, was that there before? Like, did I just miss that? And it grows and grows until you've got like eyeballs looking at you, like glowing red out into the night. Like giant creatures are coming in to attack your ship. When your ship is hit, it literally is a 1-for-1 damage. So it damages your hull, which is your inventory. So if you had something there in your inventory, it gets damaged.
Which is fun. Then you have like a red pocket in your inventory. It's like, okay, I'm trying to catch this fish, and it's kind of like L-shaped. Yeah. And so now to rotate in, I can only hold 4 instead of 5 because I can't quite navigate the space for that.
Like when you catch all the fish, they're sort of Tetris-y.
Right.
They have Tetris shapes. So you have to make these Tetris shapes fit into your boat, which is...
You're talking about all this very jovially, and it sounds incredibly unpleasant.
Oh my gosh!
Oh no, but it's fun though. It's just like everything good about game and packed into one experience.
Because you're just you're so satisfied when you just get everything fit just right. There's a like, I don't know if turn off if you don't want spoilers, but there is like an achievement if you get everything packed in and use every single space.
Ooh, that's good.
I love this. And it's so good because you are on originally you're just like a fisherman and you're trying to catch fish to live your life and whatever, but you run into a character that's like, hey, if you go do something for me, like I'll help you out, and you get kind of sucked into doing something that you get the sense isn't great to begin with, and more you realize I'm doing something very wrong.
Because everything just has this menacing tone of like, can you give me this fish? Make sure not to get this one, or do get this one, and then it's going to start impacting the NPCs differently.
Maybe don't look into the package that you're delivering.
Right.
Everything is done in a sort of tabletop RPG sort of narrative structure. So you'll go to a point of interest or a character, and like you'll get this really beautifully narrated, descriptive description, I guess, on what's happening and what you see and how you feel, and like, I love it so much. And like things, there are different biomes to go to, and they're all cool and interesting, and you are constantly trying to get your inventory to work because you need fish, but also you get to a spot where you can start building up your ship, but you need materials for that, and you find those materials by dredging out of the thing.
And also like dredging and fishing, it's all like fun little mini games. You know, they all have like a custom thing for how you're like, all right, there's a ring at the bottom of the ocean, you got to pick it up. And this one's like a story quest, so like you have to do this really tight, almost quick time event type thing of like, okay, you have to dodge these things in a circle just in order to pull this up, and like it's diabolical. It knows every gamer button to press in your brain.
Yeah. You're constantly switching things up and doing different things, and you want to, I just need to get to here so I can do this, and I'm so close to getting this now. So you just keep on playing, and then the weird story that's unfolding as you're sort of finding hints and clues as to what's actually going on in this world, and like why everyone's so weird and what's happening. And
it's a great, I've been playing on Steam Deck. If it runs well on Switch, I don't know. Like, have you been playing on Switch?
I haven't played on Switch.
Okay. But like, it's a great handheld game.
Absolutely.
It's perfect.
100%. And then, like, I don't want to spoil anything about the ending, but it is as satisfying and bewildering as the rest of the game.
Interesting pitch. All right. I like it.
I love
wow. Dredge. It's on everything, I think.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see if it's actually when the release date is, though. Do you know?
I think it's March 30th.
Okay. That sounds good enough for me. But yeah, Black Salt Games is the name of the developer. So, yep, shout out to them. And yeah, March 30th is when Dredge comes out. Kelsey, this seems like a good time to talk to you about Wii U and 3DS stuff
Sure.
shutting down, because when's that coming up? That's like next week?
It's pretty soon.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I didn't even know we were going to be talking about this today, but let's get into it.
Okay, yeah.
So obviously that's bad, right? Like it's
We don't like it.
We'll get that out of the way. Like it's bad to be losing the ability to purchase a lot of these games. The state of preservation, I think people don't necessarily realize how dire, or like the reasons in which it is dire, the ways in which it is dire, because, I mean, modders and pirates and like, underground preservationists, they've scraped all this forever ago. Like, we are not going to literally lose the ability to to play these games in some capacity, right?
But especially for 3DS, well, I guess for Wii U as well. Like, hey, special guest, Haley MacLean, community manager. Make yourself at home. We're podcasting. You can grab a beer, grab a drink, whatever you need.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. But like for 3DS and Wii U stuff, like there's a lot of functionality that you would lose if you didn't have that basic hardware.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be someone making some funky device that is an emulator, but also has 3D stuff. Like someone will figure some of that out someday. I'm sure, if it hasn't already been done. But the real crazy issue with it, this is something I've been just kind of like evangelizing on Twitter over the last couple of days, is right now there's not even any like official legal way to deal with any of this that's reasonable at all. Like normally you'd think, okay, if a Netflix is pulling a movie off of there or whatever, the Library of Congress can still have a copy. Libraries in general can still have copies. They can rent them out to people. Same with books, and like you don't have to literally walk into a library and grab a book. You can rent ebooks and you can rent movies and do all of that stuff. Can't do any of that for video games. So if an institution wanted to collect like 3DS games, and they're like, okay, we're gonna have some eShop games and allow people to play them and whatever, the only thing that you can do right now is go into a library. They have to maintain their own 3DS with games downloaded on it, and like play it there, or maybe they'd let you rent it out or something and take it home with you. But it is not at all a reasonable path for like that is literally the only legal path right now, and other than obviously owning it yourself.
And the idea is the ESA is shutting it down, so there's no other legal path?
So, basically, getting into copyright law here.
Sure.
The Digital Millennium Copyright Act, the DMCA, was written in a way that was like, we don't really understand what the problems are going to be in the future, so every couple of years we're going to let people kind of pitch, like, all right, what needs more exemptions? Like, what did we miss?
Right.
And so the last round of that, there was a pretty big push for software and video games, because it was like, okay, look, like you've kind of done this with music now and with movies and ebooks and stuff, but like video games and software, like there's no way for this is totally unreasonable. You'd have to go into a library and play with it on site, or let them rent it out to you. And the ESA was kind of the opposition to that, and they were like, we support legitimate preservation efforts, but there's still so much money in this, and we don't want our clients to lose the ability to make money off of these things. And if you let libraries have video games in a digital capacity, because they don't care if you have like a PS2 game in your library or whatever. Right. But if we let them have games digitally, libraries are just going to be arcades where people have fun, and they're not going to
go to.
Yeah. Our clients are not going to make money anymore, because people are just going to go to the library and go online to the library and have fun, and that's not real. That's not legitimate. So that's a big thing that my organization is trying to change this next round, by basically, the big thing we're doing is proving how abysmal the state of availability, commercial availability is right now. I don't have the numbers yet, and I don't want to get too, like, we're going to do a big, slap everyone in the face with the numbers thing later, but it's like worse than silent film. It's like, if the game was made before 2010, the odds of it being commercially available, like, from the rights holder or whoever is the current rights holder, is very, very low.
Well, you all tweeted out just for like the 3DS and Wii U stuff in particular, like Pokemon games. What was the number again? It was like 78%.
Yeah, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but
Are
yeah,
just gone forever now.
Well, I mean, so gone forever is not exactly what we're dealing with. It's that you can't buy them legitimately,
right,
in any way. So like your options are secondary market, piracy. That's it.
Right,
And neither of those things are reasonable. So.
Hey, I'm sure you're sick of this question. What can we do, Kelsey? As gamers who just like a good old-fashioned push-mo every once in a while, like, other than just, I guess, buy what you can before those stores are shut down.
I mean,
but...
I don't even really want to advocate for that, because it just feels like rewarding Nintendo for this. But,
sure.
I think the biggest thing right now, so the ESA is arguing on behalf of all of their clients, which are, people like Nintendo and Namco, like all these big, industry names that pay them to lobby in the best interest of the video game industry. I don't really believe that they all understand completely what the ESA is trying to lobby for right now. I don't even think they would all, like, at a company level, even at the high level, I don't even think they'd necessarily agree.
Huh.
I don't think they know what library and institution laws and stuff are. Like, I don't think that's in their wheelhouse.
So you would love to, like, interview, like, Doug Bowser or Phil Spencer just to ask them that. Cause
I cannot imagine Phil Spencer, if I explained the issue to him, he'd be like, yeah, we just can't. Like, sorry, we're just going to have to lose these games because, it's not arguing for, I mean, someday I would like to argue for, like, if you use it or lose it. Like, after 15 years, if you don't use it, it's free,
Yeah.
But we're not quite there yet. That's like step 4 or 5 probably.
Right.
But I can't imagine anyone would be like, hey, we just want, like, libraries and archives to be able to do this, like, to be able to actually preserve things and share them with people. And I can't imagine he'd be like, no way.
Right. Right.
It's such a reasonable request.
Yeah.
So I feel good about this, about winning this. I probably shouldn't say that because that means I'm not going to. But,
right.
And I say like it is mostly the Software Preservation Network's lawyers or the legal muscle behind this. I'm just helping put a study together to slap them with the numbers.
And so the Wii U and 3DS shutting down is just strangely enough more ammo or just more of a...
Yeah, well, I mean, the headline that was going around recently was that the Completionist YouTuber bought every single game, and it was like $23,000, and it took him hundreds of hours and a whole team of people and everything. And the argument from that is basically like, look, this is the only way to do this right now. Does that seem reasonable?
Right.
Does that seem like something a library or archive is going to do and then not even be able to really share it with people?
Right.
Like, that's insane.
Right.
Like, we just straight up won't preserve things because no one's got that kind of time, money,
There's a reason that his video is doing really well about it, because it's an absurd thing to do.
It is,
it's like
exactly.
a David Blaine level challenge.
Exactly.
Although I heard on the Friends Per Second podcast, isn't he donating it to...
He's donating it to the Video Game History Foundation. That doesn't mean it's the final home, because I don't know that we are going to be the people to figure out the controlled digital lending of emulated 3DS games. Like that might not be our official place of it, but we're holding it, and it's going to be pretty good ammo for this next hearing. And also, if and when it is, they're like, okay, that's reasonable. We should let libraries, rent out games and that sort of thing. Then we have a provably legally clean ROM set of all of that stuff, right? Like, not a lawyer. There are fair use arguments for less cleanly attained ROMs, but this is a very good thing to have to start from.
Yeah.
So,
it's also like Nintendo kind of drunkenly stepped into DLC in the 3DS era in a way that like makes it so you can't really... There are aspects of games there, like you can't get the Conquest Path of Fire Emblem without having the cart copy or like a digital copy and then download it as DLC. So at some point, you could just have that cart copy and just never be able to finish that third path.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, that is... Oh.
Yuck. Rough times. But hey, you folks need to get out of here, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. We'll do a quick hot swap. Haley, hi, welcome. Come on in, jump on in.
Hi, I have to meet you still. Is that a Bulbasaur blazer?
It is.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Shirt. Yes. Oh my god, you were so on theme.
Grab a seat. Make yourself at home. You all are good. Heading out. Enjoy the GDC awards. Bye. Thank you. Hey, while Haley sits down. By the way, I'll let you two meet, I guess, before we do that.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hey, this reminds me. Having Haley MacLean, community manager, which, by the way, lean in. Closer to this mic, the better off you are. Reminds me of a certain fable I once heard about Stamps.com, ladies and gentlemen. Kelsey, true story, not? I brought up the idea of like, hey, Stamps.com, they want us to read ads for them on the podcast, and you said, easiest ad read of my life.
Use it every day.
Every day?
Well, my business uses it every day, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, give me... I'm not even going to look at these talking points. Bye, folks.
Bye.
I'm not even going to look at the talking points. Tell me why, over anything else, they use Stamps.com.
It's just really, really convenient. And I think I said this last time we had a Stamps.com read, but I don't think people realize that you don't have to go to the post office and stand in line. Like, that is not... You can just get all of that done at home and then bring it and just drop it off, and you don't have to wait in line to drop it off. You just walk up to the counter and shove it at someone. And
Done.
Stamps.com makes it really easy.
Is that sweet?
You just put in the address, and so Janet uses it for stamps, which
Right.
I genuinely, as stupid as this sounds, didn't realize that was part of what they did, because I only ever use it for shipping, but
Right.
it's just a really easy way to ship things.
Oh, there you go. They want everybody to know that, hey, 2023 is already well underway, Haley. So don't wait any longer to level up your small business and set your year up for success. Go ahead of the competition by using Stamps.com to mail and ship everything there. It's the one-stop shop for all your shipping and mailing needs. For over 25 years, this Stamps.com has been around.
Wow.
So set your business up for success when you get started with Stamps.com today. You can sign up with a special promo code MinnMax, 2 N's, of course, for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click. By the way, now I'm podcasting right now, but I feel like I'm inside of a podcast right now. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code MinnMax. There is a link in the description for everybody as well to get a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. Stamps.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. And thank you to Stamps.com for sponsoring the show. You see all that, Haley?
Free postage is nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah,
I'm
makes sense.
thinking about the free scale.
Yeah.
Because if you're shipping packages, you're doing anything other than letters, you need that.
That's a good gift.
No one wants to get on the scale to
Yeah,
track their
yeah.
weight and then hold the package. That is
That's
the
just
worst.
depressing.
Sure. Also, shout out to I'm 8-Bit for supporting MinnMax for so long. They've been fantastic. They want everybody to know about Cozy Grove, the Nintendo Switch exclusive edition. You can pre-order this thing right now. It comes with a blind bag, everybody loves those, containing a collectible enamel pin inspired by Cozy Grove's ghostly denizens. Leave it to chance, or you can collect all 28 adorable bears from Cozy Grove. There's an exclusive cover sheet by Naomi Gomez, and it's region-free, of course, but also, you can get the Switch version, or you can get the PlayStation 5 version of Cozy Grove at I'm 8-Bit's wonderful online store. You can pre-order that if you're interested. I'm 8-Bit has a whole store here at GDC. Have you been there yet?
I bought 3 vinyls there. I love it.
What'd you get?
I got the Hitman super limited edition 2000 press vinyl.
Yeah.
With the rubber ducky on the front. I'm obsessed with it. And I got the Steven Universe one, which I've been trying to get online for every time I try to get it, it sells out in 10 seconds. So I saw it physical and ran over.
Oh, nice.
And the Ocarina of Time one, because I've wanted that one for a long time too.
That's
Nice.
nice. Yeah, I feel like we're always screaming about I'm 8-Bit. They're actually really cool. Check out their store,
awesome.
please. But then actually seeing a physical store with people
so
scrambling
exciting.
around and looking at all these cool items, it's great. So
Yeah.
check out I Am 8-Bit, please, because they support the show, and you can use the promo code Shamrock Shake for how much off, Kelsey?
Oh, is it 10% off?
God damn it, you're a pro. 10% off everything under $100. Thank you to I Am 8-Bit. Help support them. We probably should mention that we're not giving away a hot gift. But on next week's episode, we'll be giving away the Sea of Thieves vinyl soundtrack. Thanks to I Am 8-Bit. So if you support us on Patreon, submit a question for us to answer on the show. We'll give away the Sea of Thieves thing thanks to them. Link in the description for all these fun things. Hey, Haley.
Oh, hi.
Nice of you to be here.
Thank you for having me. I haven't seen you in years
I
in person.
guess so.
Yeah. Like
Well-
E3 2017, I saw you in person. Was the last time.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, when were you an intern again? What?
2016.
2016.
And then the last trade show I did was E3
Is
2017.
your entire operation Game Informer intern?
Don't tell anybody the secret weapon.
A
How else do you
little
meet people? I don't know. It's like it was amazing because all the interns were great, but it was definitely a case of like you'd cycle through like 3 interns for every like term, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
that person's great, that person's great, that person. You keep like a
ouch
mental
to all
roll.
the
Like,
people who
no, I'm saying they're all great. They're all great. They're all great. But it is like it's nice to have just like a Rolodex of people, and they're also smart, and so many have moved on to the
Aw.
industry and all this stuff. And
Yeah. I'm very biased, but my intern group, I'm still like very close friends with,
Yeah,
and they're lovely.
yeah,
I got to see a few of them because I was at Game Informer for a month. and
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was kind of fun, like seeing the magazine and the website happening, and then also the interns happening.
The intern's happening. What are you doing at GDC?
I'm just going around, going to summits, networking with people. I've done like the speed networking stuff where it's like
Ooh.
speed dating, and you literally like it's the same format where you like switch chairs and you just chat with people, and they're all devs, and you just get to like hear what they're working on.
I
and
did
they're,
that
like,
once. I
super
want to
cute.
do that again.
That sounds really. Where does
It was
that happen?
fun. It like filled up in 10 seconds. I barely got in. I was like the third last person that got to go in, but it was
Weird.
in the south hall at the top where like it's kind of secluded up there. You don't really realize there's talks up there, but like the Kirby one was up there, and then a couple other ones, and then all the networking stuff's up there. But it's like really fun. Like I met so many like one person was a 2D artist. They move. The next person does like systems, and I'm like, what the? They just like pitch you what they're working on, and I just get to like listen to it all. It was
And
cool.
because you're an IP lawyer, are you taking notes for that, or you think this is kind of beyond that?
It's kind of nice just to learn like what their problems are. A lot of them were asking me questions about, I'm a contractor, what rights do I have, like versus an employee. I got asked that like a ton today specifically because there's so many contractor jobs in the game space, not so many like employment opportunities, because
Right.
then you have to remit their taxes and do EI and all that kind of stuff. So they're just like, but they're kind of treating me like an employee. What can I do? Like I got that question a lot today.
What is the answer? Or is this a legal gray area that you can't
No,
get into?
it's not a legal gray area. You kind of look at it in the totality of the circumstances, where if they're treating you like an employee in a few different ways, you could probably argue you're an employee now, like even though you have a contractor agreement.
Argue to the courts?
You could potentially go to the court and they would say, yep, you're an employee, pay them all the taxes you should have been remitting from them the past few years. If a lot of times it happens after they get let go, and then they realize, oh, I was kind of employee. They want their severance that like an employee would be entitled to, but not a contractor. So that's kind of when that might happen.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest like applause lines during the panel so far is during like a panel about writing. They're talking about, just feedback and including people and stuff. And then they made a note like, by the way, if you're contracting out with writers that are not in-house, like include them in the meetings.
Not that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like, include your contractors. And people are like, yeah, contractors. Okay, it's nice to
she had
see.
to take a beat. She's like, thank you.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I saw that one.
Please, yeah. So you're just jumping around to different panels, right?
Yeah.
Outside of that?
I tried to go as many as I could.
Yeah.
And then, like, especially today, they were so full. I couldn't, like, I barely got into, I went to the main stage Future of Play one, and I had to, like, wait in line for 45 minutes just to make sure I got
This
in.
is the Tim Sweeney one?
No, this was 3 different developers from 3 different studios just talking about, like, one person talked about work from home and implementing it. Someone talked, and their demonstration was a game demo, and then you could use a QR code and enter it on your phone and, like, be in the demo while he was presenting.
That's kinda cool.
It was super cool. He was just talking about user-generated content, and then, like, diversity in, like, game spaces and, like, telling more stories. Like, that was the third thing, but it was cool. I've never been in the main stage area. It was very, like, wow, it's like the Oscars for games.
And by the way, this is weird, but I guess, it's fast and loose. We're doing things live. But, like, the plan is, I think, that Haley and I are going to record a bonus podcast right after this one.
Nice.
And it's going to be us unpacking everything we learned from all the panels thus far. We're
I've been
recording
taking
this.
notes. I took notes.
Oh my God, I've taken way too many
Okay,
notes
good.
too. So we did it last year, if you remember. Leo Vader and I unpacked everything we learned from the entire week at GDC. So we're doing that again. So just a reminder, how much does it cost to go to GDC?
It's like $2,000 to get these to get these passes that allow you. So there's levels of it. Like the ones that let you into all of the talks are like about $2,000.
Thankfully, in media, I didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So you can get all the knowledge that's worth $2,000 for $5 by supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. So that'll be in the bonus podcast feed. So if you've ever wanted the time to jump in and learn what these developers are actually sharing out there and all of their best practices and all that stuff as filtered through my brain and Haley's brain, you can unlock that right in your favorite podcast app. By the way, it's freaking me out to podcast without like a mic directly in front of
your mouth.
I feel like everyone's like, oh, should I be right over here? I don't know where my head should be at any moment. But yes, that'll be up in that bonus podcast feed for people if you really want to dive into the real stuff of GDC, not the surface level.
Good talks. I mean, this is my first GDC, so I can't really compare. But I really like the talks I went to.
Yeah,
they're really good.
Same here for sure.
Yeah.
So you can unlock that again by supporting us on Patreon. Kelsey, did you want to talk about Paranormasight?
Paranormasight. Yeah, it's cool. It's a so this is one that was not on my radar until I just saw Lena Raine, who's the composer for Celeste and some other things.
Chicory,
Chicory. She just posted a thread about it, and I was like, this looks cool. I went and downloaded it. It had just come out like 5 days ago, and I hadn't heard about it. But it's from Square Enix. It's, I think, the same team that worked on The World Ends With You, or at the very least, it is the same character designer from The World Ends With You.
Yeah.
It is a horror visual novel / puzzle, very light puzzle, but, visual novel that is set in 1980s Japan.
Ooh.
And it's a ghost story, basically. It's a big ghost mystery story with a bunch of different characters and paths you kind of have to go through. They intersect and kind of weave in and out a lot, and you might go through a path and realize that's not actually what happened at all, and you do it again, and it's a different thing. So it's a very the vibes are real good if you're into scary stuff. I'm actually not really a horror person.
Yeah.
But I like horror content if it's not going to be fed to me in a jump scare you kind of way.
Tense, tension for hours.
This has got more than I thought I was gonna have in the jump scare thing. I mean, it's got kind of the Ace Attorney, look around the room and look closer at things thing, and you might find yourself turning around and there's a dead lady's face in front of you, But
they love using dead ladies' faces.
That's just good gaming. Yeah. I feel like we've talked a lot on this podcast that Square Enix has just been pumping out games like B and C tier games over the last 3 years, and Paranormasight.
Any time to breathe.
No, I've not heard about this game other than you.
I like these kind of I don't know what the exact genre is because it's visual novel, but it's not just press buttons to advance, which most of them aren't. But this has got a little bit of kind of puzzle solving and stuff in it too, and I really like that genre when I'm in the mood for a good story, and I totally was. But it's I don't know, I would not have heard about it if not for seeing a tweet from someone completely unrelated to Square Enix. So I don't know. I feel like they're not doing their job advertising this stuff at all.
Yeah, it's on Switch and Steam and Paranormasight.
Paranormasight. The music direction, by the way, is incredible.
Oh, really?
It is some of my favorite video game music in a long time, which is
Cool.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah, it's very, very it's both good and appropriate,
Okay. That sounds great. Speaking of that, I still can't stop playing Theater Rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Final Curtain Call. Have you started playing it yet?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
But I played all the other Theater Rhythms, so.
Man, it is just the greatest comfort food, and I cannot put it down. Credits have already rolled, but I need to keep going to play every single song. And then when you think you've played every song out of the hundreds of Final Fantasy songs they've included in this thing, then they're starting to trickle out the DLC. So they added a bunch of world.
Chrono Trigger.
Well, that's coming. That's going to be
okay.
The Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross stuff. That's going to be huge.
Oh, that's for you.
Xenogears is coming later in the year. There's Mitsuda's greatest hits. But then, so now they have a bunch of stuff out of the gate. But then they just added World Ends With You music, which I never played those games. But that music
is good music.
It's extreme. Some of it's very emo, but it's good stuff. But then they also added Live Alive music.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can play music rhythm for Megalomania. Yeah, I can.
The one that's not Megalovania.
Yeah.
That is clearly it's the thing that inspired Megalovania. Yeah.
Right. But that is I think that might surprise people too when we get to the 210s for 2023. But it's man, I have enjoyed that game.
That's
and
going to be on people's list for sure.
I think so. And I keep doing a gut check of like, I know I like Final Fantasy, but there's plenty other Final Fantasy like fan service games like I don't really care about. Like Dissidia, I don't really care about. The other theater rhythm games like I played and I was like, this is a fine time. This is, I don't know if it's the Switch or what, but it is some of the greatest comfort gaming I've had in a long time. It's just
Have you played the arcade versions of?
No.
Oh, okay. They're cool.
Yeah.
They have machines. I mean, they have them if you have a round one in your area. It's like a Japanese arcade that's kind of making its way over to the U.S. now. So there's one in Seattle, but there's a couple in Texas. You know, they're not just in the main
the
places.
hip states.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool machine. It's like I really like digesting rhythm games on a machine for some reason. Like it feels right.
Makes it more of an event.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Dave and Buster's Guitar Hero.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. Anything anybody wants to talk about before we wrap this sucker up? Haley, I know there's a lot probably in your mind. We got a whole bonus podcast, but anything that...
You probably already talked about Dredge, right? I really am excited for Dredge.
Ooh, okay. Turns out it's good.
Yeah.
You should be excited about it.
Well, it came on my radar because of Jill, and I was like, oh, what's this demo on Switch? And I played it, and I'm normally not like a horror person either, but I'm really excited. I don't want to overlap because you probably already chatted.
No, that's fine.
I purposely went out to see and panicked to see what would happen. I wanted to make it happen. It's some cool things that end up actually being a little bit scary.
Yeah, it turns out being in a tiny ship at night out at sea is inherently scary, even from the isometric perspective.
Yeah, I thought it wouldn't be because of that perspective, but an angler fish jumped out and hit my boat at one point, and I legitimately flinched. So
that's fair. That's fair. Now it's time for something we call Get a Load of This. Surprise, Haley! Get a load of this. You don't have to have anything.
Okay,
that's totally fine. That's fine. Did you have something?
You know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get a load of this. I was almost on a terrible, terrible reality TV show, and I'm so glad it didn't happen.
Hoarders.
It was... Get a load of this. This is what the title was. Ready Payer One, which is just the worst thing I've ever heard. The way it was pitched to me originally, and I genuinely, thought this could be kind of cool, was a sort of Pawn Stars / American Pickers kind of thing, but for my game store, Pink Gorilla Games. Myself and my business partner were going to be on the show, and we knew it was going to be a little hokey and stuff, but I was like, this is a good opportunity to even if they're staging some of this stuff, get some unique pieces of video game history in there and explain video game history in a TV way and get it out to more people, get more people to care about video game history. I was very naive. I really thought that was, how that could go, because that was, they really sold me that I was going to be able to do that on this show in the pitch meetings and stuff. So, what actually ended up coming out of it is just this terrible trailer that the other person in the trailer is a very nice guy, but completely uninvolved. I'd never met him in my life, and he was a former gameplay counselor, Nintendo gameplay counselor, who was gonna drive around in a DeLorean and a Power Glove, and they just started stacking 80s reference on 80s reference, and they made me dress like it was the 80s at one point, and I was like, I was born in 1994. So
nobody else, dare I say, at the convention center even, was this close to being on a reality show.
No.
I think it's cool.
That's not true.
Well, maybe some weirdos here and there. At least in this room. Neither of us have ever been offered to be on a reality TV show.
It is officially completely dead at this point. I mean, it really has been for a couple of years at this point, but it was not we were still under an NDA, and it was still weird. In theory being shopped around, and a couple of networks had an interest in it, but
I know you're a sophisticated person. I know that in my heart of hearts. But did you have that moment of this might be obnoxious, I might be selling my soul, but I guess I would make money?
No, there's no money.
There's no money?
There's very little money. Only in the original, what was sold, what was pitched to me and what I was talking about sounded, I don't really want to be on TV, but that sounded like a good opportunity.
Right. Right.
And it could be kind of cool and fun to share cool stuff with people. But
right.
Yeah, once it started turning into, we drive around in DeLoreans and pretend it's the 80s and stuff. And this store that I run, we run this store every day, and it hasn't we don't dress up like it's the 80s while we just run a game store. So
Why is there driving involved? Like, were you picking up
it
customers?
was supposed to be like an American Pickers kind of thing. Like he was supposed to be the guy that like went out and found the cool finds.
Oh, okay.
And anyways, the like pitch video my business partner put online because just I don't know, it's dead now. So
there's a link below if you want to see this pitch. It dodged a bullet, but I'm still kind of jealous. Like
Yeah.
I think like the most we could ever strive to in our lives is like get an absurd offer like that and turn it down
and
to
be like, no.
yeah, that would be the coolest. And that's basically what kind of happened ultimately.
yeah, I mean, it got as the show started changing and stuff. I told them several times I was ready to walk away from it. So
Too many chefs in the kitchen kind of thing?
I think seeing TV people see the world a little differently, and like if they think 80s nostalgia is selling right now, then like that, by God, they're putting it in the show, and it doesn't really matter if it works or not.
Yeah.
So
Weird. Hey, get a load of this in the Discord channel where people share this type of stuff all the time. Boolean sicker than your average posted on the channel a tweet from Charlie Intel talking about how Call of Duty's domination mode has already been recreated in Fortnite's new creative mode, and it now includes Rust elements.
Wow.
So that seems ambitious. I'm curious to see where that Fortnite stuff goes in the future.
I don't know. I want to be a Fortnite lawyer. I don't even know how you handle that.
Well, and there's probably, hey, you want that sweet money from that reality TV show world.
Oh,
you can become a Fortnite lawyer,
Yeah,
Haley.
honestly.
that's a good show.
I kind of would watch that.
The Fortnite lawyer.
Dunk dunk, hell yeah.
Like a Saul Goodman-esque character, but like a streamer, maybe?
Hello, are you listening, Hollywood? And by that we do mean anybody in Hollywood right now. We will take your offers.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, get a load of this. Silicon Era had an article that was recapping an interview that our dear friend Akihiro Hino from Level 5, the head of Level 5, gave, but we know him better as the creator of Overblood, the PlayStation series, of course. But he said something that I hadn't heard before. But apparently, KJ, how do you pronounce it? KJ Inafune? Yeah, the Mega Man creator. And longtime producer, that apparently he's producing Fantasy Life, the new Fantasy Life from Level 5.
Oh,
he's getting back in a weird way. I had no idea that was a thing, but yeah, links below for all this fun stuff. Do you want to throw anything off the top of your head? You don't have to. You don't have to. I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm not even looking at you. I'm
I
not putting you on the
saw
spot.
a picture of a guitar, or like an instrument on an escalator, and it got stuck on the top, and it destroyed the escalator. That was kind of cool. Like, it was so long that it like hit the roof, and then it made the escalator like implode.
Wait, so it's like Mission Impossible 1, but instead of the guy getting impaled, like the elevator implodes?
The elevator imploded.
Okay, that's
yeah.
good. If you can
I think
send me
that
that
was
link,
the last tweet I saw.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
I'll find it.
Let's see. That's it for this episode, this funky episode, I should say, of the MinnMax Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching or listening and being patient with a different setup and stuff. Haley, thanks for coming into the hotel room. I know it's weird to open a hotel room door when people are podcasting in there, but thank you.
I can actually hear you from the elevator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad sign. But again, patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's if you want to unlock the bonus podcast unpacking all of GDC's secrets, the secrets of the game developers. Also, we have the travelogue up on MinnMax's YouTube channel. Should be up there pretty soon, probably by the end of the weekend. I'll cut it together. And then there's going to be a bonus, super extended version of that travelogue available for people at that $10 tier, the Backstage Pass tier. So you want to jump up to that tier, even just for 1 month. It'd be a good time to do it because you get to see all of Kelsey and I exploring an expo hall, including a bunch of other stuff. But we'll just air all of that for Backstage Pass people. So that's like, what was that? An hour of us wandering the hall?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then
I saw a big hat.
Oh, you wouldn't believe this
The
big hat,
biggest hat.
people. It's really a beautiful
I'm not gonna
hat.
elaborate.
saw
You're
that.
just gonna
That was
have to.
super cool.
You're just gonna have to join the Patreon.
That's right. Heck of a hat. Also, we have, most importantly, the deepest dive on Resident Evil 4. That remake, that is happening with Sarah Pazorski and Jeff Markiafava and Kyle Hilliard and I. So you can help us create the best, most thorough discussion about Resident Evil 4 remake on the internet by jumping in at any tier on Patreon and submitting your thoughts for us to read during those discussions. Or again, at that $5 tier on Patreon, you can unlock the podcast version of the deepest dive on Resident Evil 4 remake and all the other bonus fun stuff as well, including an ad-free version of this podcast each and every week. And it comes a day early, blah, 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 Patreon exclusives. I run it through so many times in my head. But we are collecting your thoughts on Resident Evil 4 Remake on Sunday, March 26th, and it's covering chapters 1 through 6. So finish chapter 6. Jacob Geller assures me that these are shorter chapters than most. So whatever you get up to, maybe you don't finish chapter 6, but whatever you get up to from the opening of Resident Evil 4 Remake, Sunday, March 26th, head over to patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. Submit your comment over there, and then we'll read it during our discussion, which is going to be happening early in the week. All right. Thank you to our people at the Game Champion tier, the $50 tier over there on Patreon. You know who they are. Clement Zobel is the champion of Don't Starve Shipwrecked, and Maniac chose to be the champion of Half-Life Alyx. Officially the champion of Half-Life Alyx. Very cool choice. And that is it for this episode. Haley, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Let's podcast for a really long time after this.
Hell yeah.
Kelsey.
I'm not gonna. I'm gonna leave.
Oh, absolutely warranted. That's totally fine. But nice to podcast with you in person.
Hey.
Yeah,
First time.
for sure. Come out to Minnesota sometime. We
Okay,
can podcast wherever the
all
hell
right.
you want.
Trek to, I don't know. I don't know. Another Trek to Shrek. Shrek 2.
Shrek 2.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for watching and listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. Be good. Have fun. Let's go.